Welcome back to the Red Dirt Road podcast. Recording live, soon to be enjoyed, not live. How's it going?
Good, man. How about you? Good to see you again.
Sensing some rasp in both of our voices.
Oh yeah, no. It's a little bit early. Late night last night. When you get up on Sunday morning. Well, for those of you listening, Sunday morning is not always the best time, but it's still like you're kind of in a sense where it's a little bit raspy there.
Yeah, this definitely is not early. It's 1 o'clock Eastern, but we both had some pretty late nights. We were actually texting at like 2 a.m. I got back home like 1:30 and ended up watching some Seinfeld and then hitting the hay. So had a little housewarming / college graduation party. So good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So Okie from Muskogee gonna get into in a minute and compare it to the sort of, it's not even really a song, just little sort of song live version on this other album. But I got a little game. I just came up with it called Red Dirt Road Podcast Final Countdown. And if you ever watched Family Feud, they do this thing where it's like you got 60 seconds and they ask you to say something and then you have to say it and then you go on to the next one. You got like 60 seconds or maybe it's like 30 seconds. So what do you want to do? 30 or 60 for this?
30 is fine, I guess.
Okay. Let's just do, we'll do 30 today and then we'll see how it goes.
All
but
right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to you got to name a country song that starts with this letter. Okay.
Okay.
So you got 60 seconds on the clock. And when I edit this, I'm going to add in a little funny, little countdown music. All right. Ready, set, go. Name a country song that starts with the letter A.
Letter A. All My Rowdy Friends Has Settled Down. That's
B.
B. B. I know there's one that starts with B. Oh, this is difficult.
It's coming down to 30 seconds. You know what? We'll just go 1 minute.
All right.
That's 30 seconds right there.
B.
Oh, come on.
Come on. Sorry, it's still early. Darn it. B.
You got 10 seconds.
I can't believe this. I'm choking on B right here. Okay.
5 seconds.
I had something for C. C was Catch All the Fish.
All right, we're at 1 minute. You got one. I was thinking about mixing it up. I was thinking about going like song, artist, album, but I just figured, I was like, let's just keep it real simple. Just do songs. So you got one. I was expecting more.
I know. So was I. I'm very.
It's hard. It's harder than it looks to.
I would
do
like
that.
to apologize to all of our listeners here. That was embarrassing. I will be
brand new man. Boot Scoot and Boogie.
Oh, what the hell, dude! That completely slipped my mind.
No, it's harder than it. I thought of a song when I was doing this. I thought of a song right away for B, but A. I mean, I didn't really put much time into thinking about it because it was for you, but I couldn't really think of a song right off the bat.
All My Rowdy Friends to Settle Down. That was the one that came right to mind. Was Bo Cephas. And
all my rowdy friends are coming over tonight.
And then I had one for I had one for C. That was Catch All the Fish by Brad Paisley.
I'm a little disappointed. So next time, come prepared. It's gonna be. It might be artists or it might be albums.
All right.
Not gonna start with A. It's gonna be somewhere else. So okay. I'm gonna throw you off.
Yeah, because I honestly wasn't expecting to start with A either. I thought you were gonna throw in like a start with one that starts with X or something like
X.
Y.
I don't think we'd even be able to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
So,
know.
anyways, there you go. Look forward to that, fans of the Red to Road podcast. So, Okie from Muskogee, some facts on the song. The original was written by Merle Haggard, and it was written by Haggard and Ray Edward Burris, who was the drummer of The Strangers, which is kind of this band that performed with Merle Haggard a lot. Released in 1969. And just going to read a little bit from the Wikipedia page, not the entire thing. So it says Okie is a slang name for someone from Oklahoma, and Muskogee is the 11th largest city in Oklahoma. It is one of the most famous songs, obviously, of his career. And I felt like the background, we'll see how much I read from this, but this song was actually featured in the Johnny Cash Netflix special that we reviewed. So I'm going to kind of go through that. It says the Merle Haggard told The Boot that he wrote the song after he became disheartened watching Vietnam War protests and incorporated that emotion and viewpoint into the song. He says when he went to prison, he knew what it was like to have his freedom taken away. Freedom is everything. During Vietnam, there was all kinds of protests. Here were these servicemen going over there dying for a cause. We didn't know what it was really all about. And here, all these young kids that were here bitching about it, he says, there's something wrong with that, disparaging those poor guys. And he states that the song is to support the troops. We were in a wonderful time in America, and music was in a wonderful place. America was at its peak, and what the hell did these kids have to complain about? These soldiers were giving up their freedom and lives to make sure others could stay free. I wrote the song with support to support those soldiers. And it says that critic Kurt Wolf wrote that Haggard was always considered that it became a redneck anthem and became a spoof. And today's fans, even the hippies who are sort of poked fun at in the lyrics, have taken a liking to the song and find some humor in the lyrics. And it says, while it can be viewed as satire of an American small town and its reaction to the anti-war protests and counterculture seen in America's largest cities, all music writer Bill Janovich writes that the song also convincingly gives voice for the proud, straight-laced truck driver type. In the end, he identifies with the narrator and so on and so forth. Don't feel like taking up a ton of time reading all of that, but yeah, some of the lyrics I will say are a little bit, dated, like pretty hard stance on marijuana. That's kind of, in drugs in general is much more accepted by, let's say, other country artists who, country
Willie
rapper,
Nelson.
like for
Willie
instance,
Nelson.
what?
Willie Nelson.
Yeah, I was even going to say like Upchurch is a guy we talked about that's very sort of traditional in those values, except for like marijuana. That's a lot more accepted, legal in many states. And then the live version was the last song on this December 2020 album released then. It's called Sing Me Back Home, the music of Merle Haggard live. And it's the shortest one on the album, and it's also the most popular by quite a bit. So I'm going to throw it over to you. We're going to have Alex be kind of in charge. He's our lyrics guy now. So, I kind of talked a lot about the song, but just as far as the lyrics, what do you kind of think as far as just breaking it down? Anything kind of stand out to you?
All right. Well, I'll take a crack at this. I think, as you said, it's really, really straightforward and kind of blunt. And that's sort of what I like about this song. Although initially, like my views on cannabis, marijuana are kind of like it's all been changed quite a lot. So, seeing this is definitely something that saying like, wow, that's blatantly conservative about it. I mean, the first line here, we don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee. We don't take our trips on LSD. We don't burn our draft cards down on Main Street. We like living right and being free. Now, I honestly think because I'm harkening back to that documentary we watched about Richard Nixon and Johnny Cash, and about how Richard Nixon wanted Johnny Cash to sing this song about and those words, we like living right and being free. That like living right in that sense, he would definitely make a play on it to be living conservatively or living like a Republican and being free. Because at the time, if we contextualize this, in the 60s, it was kind of the more conservative people that had a very negative view of cannabis and of the counterculture of that sort of thing. So, very blunt, right off the bat, does not really like all that counterculture stuff. And they keep going. I think it says, we don't make a party out of loving, and we like holding hands and pitch and woo. We don't let our hair grow long and shaggy like the hippies out in San Francisco do. It's another good verse.
That's my
Because
favorite. I'll take it away here. I know we're
yeah,
kind of crunched on time, but that's my favorite part. Is I was actually just in San Francisco earlier this year. Didn't get to spend a ton of time in the city. There's a lot to see in general in that area, but I thought that was so funny, like the hippies out in San Francisco do. That's so funny. Which San Francisco now is becoming little less hippie. That's a weird city in general. It's becoming very it's like extremely expensive. Actually, a lot of really wealthy people live there, a lot of tech people. So
techies, yeah.
it's becoming a little less hippie, maybe than it was at this time. But yeah, so my thoughts on the song is that so I've been listening to a lot of Merle Haggard and in preparation for this song and the last song that we reviewed. And I love this song. I think it's one of the best of Merle Haggard. It's one of the best country songs in general. It's got a statement that, I'm not really that much against marijuana. Never had LSD. I don't smoke, but it's I like the tribute and the voice of the small town. Never been to Oklahoma, but I'd like to see Muskogee, Oklahoma. Really like this song. I think it's written well. I think it's specific. Those songs that are written specific, I think those are the best types of songs. I think it's performed well. I think it's great. I'd say it's one of the. If I had to give it a letter grade, I'd say it's an A plus, maybe an A. I think it's great. So no
I think it's a great
complaints.
song.
And then I'll throw it over to you for the. You can give your opinion of the original, and I'm gonna pull up. So there's like so many artists that are on the live version. I'm actually gonna pull that up as far as how many are on there, so you can give your thoughts on the original.
I like the original. I'm just gonna say that I did not really like the live version. I thought it was very short. wasn't wasn't very like I mean, at least the original version, you have Merle Haggard and his little background band, and they do a good job. It's all um, it's got that classic like Merle Haggard style, like free flowing, but free flowing but structured style of like talking blues, a little bit of singing, and a nice backbeat and a beautiful harmony behind it. Those were the characteristics that I liked about this song. I thought it was very definitely a good song to listen to. Um, with the live version, I think that they amp it up a little bit, and
Here,
you
hold
hear
on here.
Ronnie
Let
Dunn.
me let me
Oh, sorry.
just. So
Go
if
ahead.
anyone has not listened to this, I'll let you give your opinion in a second. But these are all of the artists that are on this. So basically, everyone that contributed to this album. It was an album sort of uh, in memory of Merle Haggard and all of his songs, and they took everyone and combined them into basically half of Okie from Muskogee, and they're all singing at the same time. There's a few artists that you can kind of hear more than others. I think maybe Willie Nelson and let's see, John Anderson comes to mind. But so here's all the artists on this minute and 30 some second song. John Anderson, Toby Keith, Buddy Miller, Tanya Tucker, Jake Owen, Chris Janson, Lucinda Williams, Ben Haggard, Aaron Lewis, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Hank Williams Jr., Bobby Bear, Dierks Bentley, Ronnie Dunn, which is kind of why we're even looking at this. Jamey Janson, the Avett brothers, Miranda Lambert, Sheryl Crow, Willie Nelson, Kenny Chesney, Kacey Musgraves, Keith Richards, Alabama. Interesting.
That's a lot of people.
Connie Smith, Billy Gibbons, Loretta Lynn, Warren Hayes, Rodney Crowell. Hey, our friend Rodney. And Theresa Haggard.
Oh God.
Rodney makes it on here. So that's insane. I mean, to me, they ruined this. I think it's even though it's the most popular song on this little compilation live album, to me it sucks. I mean, like, I don't know why they would kind of take a great song and throw all of these artists on there. It to me, it's like whenever you throw like a ton of artists together on one track, it just kind of all blends together. You don't have those different sounds that each artist have. It just kind of all sounds the same. That's why I don't really like a lot of like choir. It just kind of sounds like just doesn't have a distinct sound.
I think it's very difficult to have a lot of artists singing together if they're all singing the lead part and there's no orchestration to make it sound somewhat like a choral ensemble, because you can't make I can't even remember how many artists you just named, but
I don't even know.
There's quite a few of them, and they had an idea, it just didn't work. It didn't work at all, and I didn't like. It was too short. Like I couldn't even because initially the song ended, and I'm like, what? It ended already? My goodness! Like that's not even like the other song is a lot longer, and you get to go through it. I mean, a way to do it would possibly have been split the verses up and maybe give each artist a verse, but there's not enough verses in the song to even cover half of those artists. So
yeah, they took I paid my respects for the original one. That is a phenomenal song. I'm gonna end this podcast by telling how upset I am about this song, this live version. Let me just say, I'm very irritated. You had a collection of amazing artists. I know we talked about Ronnie Dunn, but you had Hank Williams Jr., Willie Nelson, all these other guys, John Anderson. Hey, even Toby Keith, and you couldn't get like maybe two of them on the song. I mean, I think personally, Willie Nelson, it would have been great to have him do this song by himself, or maybe him do a verse, have someone else. But I think Willie would have done it great. And honestly, I think Hank Jr., that would have been kind of a very different sound than Willie. But even that would have been really cool to hear. So having them all sing at once is, to me, just, I don't know why they would pick this song to do that. But I don't know. Maybe it's because it's a little more controversial, I guess you can say, a little more outdated than some of the other songs that he does. So maybe they just said, we'll just throw them all on there, and we won't really, have one guy singing it. I don't really know, but it's disappointing. Very disappointing that I think Hank and I think Willie would have done really well. So that's all I have to say.
Very bad.
Very bad. I think I bet Ronnie, he was probably sitting there thinking, this is a waste of time. I bet he was barely even singing, because I can't even hear him in there. There's so many artists.
Neither can I, man. I can't imagine why you do that. Like, if I was him, I would have walked off there and be like, no, let the other however many artists sing that get this one. I don't want it.
Yeah. So that's that. So that's going to be it for the Red Dirt Road podcast today. We're going to be back. More Ronnie Dunn, more Brooks and Dunn, more everything else. We will catch you guys later down the Red Dirt Road.